How long do you plan to stay?
Until one of us kills the other.
Mute.
You don't have to say the word mute, just pressing the button. Mute. So, like Tuesday.
I am so excited to chat about Reverse the Curse with all three of you. I watched it yesterday and it was just such a powerful and very moving film. So David, I'd like to start with you. Obviously you adapted this from your novel, but what was the journey like for you bringing your book to the screen for this film?
Novels and movies are both have what they do well, and they're not the same things. So I knew the book worked. I knew the screenplay had a chance to work, but it was really all about finding the right tone, the tone that could sustain, a man dying of cancer and also a fart scene. So there you've got your two sides there. And I needed to hire actors who could sustain that tone, who could live in both those worlds. And when I cast Logan and when I cast Stephanie, that's when I was on the way to making a successful movie and finding the tone that I was seeking.
Well, and you couldn't ask for two better screen partners for this film. I mean, Logan, I'll turn to you next. I've been a big fan of yours since Quarry and then with Upgrade as well. And you just rock in this movie. But what was it like, finding the core of your character and carrying him through these very different tones that David walked with the story?
Well, I mean, once I read the screenplay, really, I was like, wait, they want me for this? David, I hadn't gotten that role before. I hadn't gotten that those dynamics and the tone. Once I read I read the screenplay, but when you read the book, I kind of really understood the tone, because there's so much left out in the screenplay. But whereas David's words just really filled in so many blanks, and I immediately was like, this is a duty. I really mean that. I was like, I am not going to let David down, because it's such a beautiful role, and it demands so much of an actor. It's a dream kind of role, I feel like, and I just like disappearing, and he offered me an opportunity to, and all the way through the process, it was a set that allowed me to just stay in a real kind of Teddy area, which is kind of like a little zenny and at times not zenny, but yet I don't know. There was something really safe about David's set to be totally unsafe in, and that's all I ever want as an actor, or is that process.
Well, it sounds like a really creatively rewarding one for you. So I'm glad that David here was able to give you that opportunity. And Stephanie, I will turn to you next. We obviously know you're no stranger to the world of comedy, but I feel like this is one of the most powerfully dramatic roles we've seen of you yet on screen. And I loved watching your character evolve throughout the film. What was it like really exploring the more dramatic side in comparison to some of the comedy that audiences might already be used to you?
I like that stuff. When I did theater before I ever started doing television or film, most of the stuff that I gravitated toward was the drama, Shakespeare, American classics, Tennessee Williams, Arthur Miller. That was the stuff that I was getting cast, and that was the stuff that I was doing. It wasn't until Brooklyn where I really tried to even do comedy in a much bigger way. So for me, it's really thrilling to be able to go back to something that I find really fulfilling in a different way, in a totally different way. Obviously, it's very fulfilling when you make someone crack up, but if you can also make somebody feel something, or at least access some emotion that maybe they've been trying to push down or put to the side, and you can make them laugh within the same kind of story, that's really a gift for an actor, because it's how we handle stuff in real life. You have to sometimes just take the air out of the thing with a joke. When my dad was dying, he was fucking hilarious. And it was all about shit that was, not funny, not really funny, but because of the situation, it was funny. And that's what a sitcom is, right? It's situational comedy. And there were elements of the situational comedy in this movie that I really loved. the farts in the bed, but like so many other things too, where people in the scenes just have to make a joke because you can't survive without it.
No, as someone who's been through a few losses recently, it's very true. Sometimes the humor is a great way to let the air out, and I feel like your character really found the nice balance between them. So I love that about her, and I see I'm coming close to time. So David, I did have one question for you outside of the film. We know that Ryan Coogler's working on a new X-Files project. Gillian Anderson has expressed her interest in seeing what he does with it, but also, possibility of returning after not wanting to originally. What are your thoughts on this new take on it and possibly coming back as Mulder for it?
I don't really have any thoughts on it. I mean, it seems to be a whole separate project. I mean, I wish them luck,
It's not an easy world to build on after what you, Chris, and Jillian did, but I'm curious to see where it goes. And then for my very final question, I will turn back to the film. I love the look of this movie, David. It feels so in its era, but at the same time with modern sensibilities. How did you go about crafting the specific look of this movie?
I had no money. I just had to get locations that look right, hire a thrifty production designer, Luke Carr, smart and thrifty, hire a DP that knew how to hide certain things of the modern world and what to shoot at, and put great actors in front of things that didn't fit in this world that I was shooting in, it's necessity is the mother of invention.
I thought the costume design really helped with that.
Lou was she was great.
Yeah. It didn't feel like a Halloween costume of that time. It felt like real people, real clothes, lived in. Most of it, I think, was vintage stuff that she sourced, took so much time and care. I wore her grandmother's bracelet for quite a few scenes. Like, there was just a lot of story in the clothes, life in the clothes. So it just felt very real and realistic.
Thank you for bringing up Lou Shaw. That's totally right.
I love that. So, and it all comes together so well. Truly, I cannot wait to spread the word about this film. I'm not blowing smoke. I did really love it. And I think people who see it will love it as well. So thank you all so much for taking the time. I so greatly appreciate it.
It is up over the Yankees. Marty. Remember my adopted daughter, Ted?
I'm not adopted.